Most people won't tell you this, but every time you give in to that urge and that few seconds of pleasure, you're actually weakening your mind. You're trading your focus, your energy, your willpower for a moment that disappears as fast as it comes. And the worst part, you feel it right after. That guilt, that emptiness. You tell yourself you'll stop next time, but then you don't. What if I told you the Stoics faced the same struggles and found a way to rise above them, and what they discovered might just be the reason you finally stop? This is not a video about shame. This is a video about power. Your power to take control of your life, your energy, your purpose. Stick around till the end, because this might be the moment you change your relationship with your urges. Forever. Hey, if you're new here, welcome to our Stoic journey. On this channel, we break down ancient wisdom in simple, modern language. No fluff, no philosophy degrees required. If that sounds like your thing, hit that subscribe button and join thousands of others reclaiming their lives with reason, purpose, and calm. Now, let's get into the real reason you feel stuck and how the Stoics can set you free. Let's be real. Nobody feels proud after doing it. That moment of release? Sure, it feels good for like 10 seconds, but right after, the guilt kicks in. You feel like you've wasted your time. You feel tired, lazy, distracted. And deep down, you know you gave in. Again. So why does this happen? Why does something that feels so natural leave you feeling so empty? Let's bring in the Stoics. Stoic philosophy teaches that pleasure is not the goal of life. Virtue is. And here's the catch. Chasing pleasure for the sake of pleasure weakens the soul. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Pleasure is the bait of sin." He didn't mean sin in a religious sense. He meant that pleasure can trap. He would pull you into habits that make you weaker, not stronger. You think you're just releasing stress, but what you're really doing is escaping, avoiding discomfort, running from boredom, loneliness, stress, or anxiety. And Stoicism is very clear about this. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca, the desire to masturbate often isn't about lust. It's about wanting to feel something. You're looking for a shortcut to happiness, but shortcuts don't lead to strength. The Stoics believe that self-control is the path to freedom. But every time you give in to the urge, you're telling your mind, you're not in charge, the urge is. And that's where the guilt comes from, not from the act itself, but from the loss of control. You wanted to stop, but didn't. You chose comfort over growth, that tiny voice inside you, the one that says, "You're better than this." That's your inner Stoic trying to guide you. It's not judging you. It's reminding you that you have the power to rise above impulse, and when you don't, it hurts. Not because you're bad, but because you're out of alignment with your higher self. That's what the Stoics called living without virtue, when your actions don't match your values, and no amount of pleasure can make that feel okay. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. What did the Stoics actually say about pleasure, and how did they train their minds to resist it? It's more powerful and more relevant than you think. Let's clear something up. The Stoics weren't against pleasure. They didn't think you had to live like a monk or reject joy, but they believed pleasure should never control you. To the Stoics, the problem wasn't pleasure itself. It was becoming a slave to it. Let's hear from Epictetus, one of the most powerful Stoic voices. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Simple, brutal, true. He didn't say you had to avoid pleasure forever. He said, you must control it, not the other way around. Now think about it. How often do you make decisions based on comfort, not purpose? You feel stressed, so you reach for pleasure. You feel bored, so you scroll, click, watch. You feel tired, so you take the shortcut. Every time you do, you're training your brain to run from reality. And Stoicism is the opposite of that. It's about facing life head-on, with courage, clarity, and control. Even the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius knew this struggle. He wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In modern language, you don't need more pleasure. You need more power over your own mind. The Stoics believed in a core virtue called temperance, the ability to control desires, stay balanced, and live with reason. And here's the truth. Masturbation, when it becomes a habit or an escape, destroys temperance. You may think it's just a small thing. No big deal. But the Stoics saw it differently. To them, every small choice builds your character. Are you the kind of person who acts on impulse? Or the kind who waits, reflects, chooses wisely? Because here's what Seneca said. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to never slip. But the question is, who's in charge? You or your urge? That's the Stoic challenge. And in the next section, we'll connect this ancient wisdom to something very modern, dopamine. Because what the Stoics knew in their hearts, science is now proving with data. You're not weak, you're wired, but you can rewire. Let me show you how. The chemical that makes you feel good. Every time you watch something sexual, scroll through a feed, or even anticipate pleasure, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine. It's nature's way of saying, hey, this feels good, do it again. The problem, we're drowning in dopamine. Thousands of years ago, life was simple. There were no screens, no adult sites, no instant stimulation. The Stoics had desires too, but they didn't have the onslaught of triggers we face today. And still, they warned us. Seneca said, "To be enslaved to oneself is the heaviest of all servitudes." What does that mean today? It means being a prisoner to your own pleasure system, caught in a loop of trigger, response, regret. The science proves it. When you overuse dopamine through things like pornography or compulsive habits, your brain becomes less sensitive to pleasure. So what happens? You need more to feel less. You lose motivation. You stop enjoying simple things. You feel tired, unfocused, anxious, even depressed. And that's not just theory. That's real. Just like ancient Stoicism, neuroscience now tells us, too much pleasure leads to pain. So what did the Stoics teach us to do? They practiced voluntary discomfort, cold baths, fasting, long walks, self-discipline. Not because they were crazy, but because they knew something we forgot. The more you seek comfort, the weaker you become. Marcus Aurelius paraphrased, "In a world full of dopamine traps, discipline becomes your escape." When you resist that urge, even once, you're rewiring your brain. You're saying, I'm in charge. The Stoics didn't have the word dopamine, but they understood the principle. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius, aligned with Stoic thought. Every time you say no to an urge, you're building strength that carries into every part of life. In the next part, we'll take it even deeper. We'll talk about purpose, and how every time you give, and you're not just losing energy, you're trading your mission for a moment. Let's talk about what you could be doing with that same energy if you chose to rise. Let me ask you something real. What could you achieve if you stopped wasting that energy? Think about it. All those moments, those urges, that time spent before, during, and after. What if you took that same energy and poured it into your purpose? You see, the Stoics believed that every human is born with a duty, a higher role, something meaningful that only you can bring to the world. But here's the harsh truth. You can't find your purpose when you're stuck chasing pleasure. You can't lead, create, build, or grow when your energy is scattered on distractions. Marcus Aurelius put it like this: a man should be upright, not kept upright. Meaning, don't wait for motivation. Don't rely on feelings. Be the kind of person who walks the path even when it's hard. Now pause for a second. What do you really want from your life? A stronger body? A clear mind? A mission that lights you up? Or a screen, a click, and a feeling that fades in seconds? Because here's what's really happening. Every time you give in to masturbation without control, you're choosing escape over purpose. You're taking the easy road. But the Stoics, they didn't respect the easy road. They believed in excellence, called arete. To them, life was short, time was sacred, and anything that pulled you away from your mission, that was a waste of life. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." What are you wasting? That business you want to build? That book you want to write? That version of you who wakes up early, trains hard, and walks with confidence? He's already inside you. But every time you escape into a screen, you're locking him in. The Stoics would tell you, live each day as if it were your last. Would you really spend your last day chasing urges? Or would you rise and finally start living on purpose? The next section will talk about something powerful, self-control, not as punishment, but as your superpower. You know what's crazy? In today's world, saying no is rebellious. Everyone's chasing more pleasure, more comfort, more distractions. But the Stoics, they chased less, not because they hated pleasure, but because they loved freedom. True freedom. The kind where you're not pulled around by every little desire. That's why the Stoics treated self-control like a superpower. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And what lies within your control? Your thoughts, your actions, your responses. When you feel the urge to masturbate and choose to rise above it, even just once, you're not just avoiding something, you're becoming something. You're becoming the kind of person who can lead, not follow, who can delay gratification for a better future. And that is rare. Most people don't even try. They live in a cycle, urge, pleasure, guilt, repeat. But you're breaking that cycle, one decision at a time. Because self-control doesn't just help you with urges, it builds the mental muscle for everything. Discipline in fitness, focus in work, confidence in social life, strength in failure. Peace. In chaos, it's like building armor from the inside out. And the best part? Every time you win the battle, even just for today, you become stronger. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up. The Stoics didn't believe in flawless people. They believed in people who kept trying, because effort is power. In the next and final content section, we'll wrap this all up. How to apply Stoic tools daily to beat this habit and unlock the strongest version of yourself. This is where change really begins. All right, you've heard the philosophy. You've seen the science. Now let's get practical. How do you actually use Stoicism to stop this habit and take back control? Here's a simple 5-step framework based on real Stoic practices. Step 1. Awareness before action. The Stoics believed that awareness is the first step to mastery. Before you act on an urge, pause and ask, what emotion is driving this? Is it boredom, stress, loneliness, lust? Naming the emotion weakens its grip. You're no longer acting blindly. You're observing with clarity. Step 2. Use the pause Marcus Aurelius wrote. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. When you feel the urge, take 10 deep breaths. Walk away. Splash cold water on your face. Journal what you're feeling. You don't need to fight the urge. Just sit with it. Let it pass like a cloud. Every time you pause, you build willpower. Step 3. Practice voluntary discomfort. The Stoics trained themselves through intentional hardship. Take cold showers. Wake up early. Fast occasionally. Work out when you don't feel like it. Why? Because when you master discomfort, urges lose their power. You realize, I can do hard things. I don't need to escape anymore. Step 4. Redirect the energy. The energy behind sexual urges is real, but you can transmute it. Use it to build, write, train, learn, work on your goals. You're not suppressing the energy. You're reclaiming. This is what the Stoics called living according to nature, using what you're given for a higher purpose. Step 5. Reflect every day. At the end of each day, do what the Stoics did. Journal. Ask yourself, where did I act with discipline? Where did I give in? What can I do better tomorrow? This daily check-in keeps your path clear. It turns your journey from random effort into a mission. Final thought. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're human, but you were made for more. And every time you choose self-control over impulse, you're not just avoiding a habit, you're becoming the person you were meant to be. A Stoic, a warrior, a leader of your own life. The path is hard, but it's worth it. And it starts now.